In the vastness of space, humanity has always sought answers. What lies beyond the stars? But what if the greatest secrets are hidden not in the void between worlds, but deep within them? Imagine discovering entire civilizations thriving inside the colossal storms of gas giants, their existence defying everything we know about life and physics. This is the story of an intrepid crew who dared to venture where no one had gone before, only to uncover truths that would change the course of history forever. Hidden realms, ancient mysteries, and unimaginable dangers await. Are you ready to explore the unknown? Subscribe now and join us on this journey into the heart of the cosmos. The research vessel, Immerse, drifted silently through the endless expanse of space, its sleek metallic frame reflecting the faint light of a distant star. The ship was designed for exploration, equipped with cutting-edge technology capable of probing even the most hostile environments. Its mission was clear yet daunting: to investigate anomalies detected within the atmospheres of gas giants scattered across the galaxy. These planets were often dismissed as barren wastelands, their thick layers of hydrogen and helium deemed inhospitable to life. Yet recent scans suggested otherwise, patterns too complex to be natural, energy signatures unlike anything seen before. As the crew prepared for their descent into the first target, anticipation hung heavy in the air. Each member of the team carried their own reasons for being there, some driven by scientific curiosity, others by personal ambition or a desire to make history. They knew the risks. Diving into a gas giant's atmosphere meant facing crushing pressures, violent storms, and the possibility of never returning. But the potential rewards, the chance to rewrite textbooks, to redefine humanity's place in the universe, were worth it. As the countdown began, the ship's AI calculated entry trajectories while sensors scanned for safe zones amidst the chaos below. It was time to pierce the veil of these cosmic behemoths and see what lay beneath. The Immerse was more than just a spacecraft. It was humanity's hope for discovery. Built over decades of research and development, it represented the pinnacle of human ingenuity. Its reinforced hull could withstand pressures that would crush lesser vessels, while its propulsion systems allowed it to navigate the unpredictable currents of gas giants. Inside, the crew worked tirelessly, running simulations and double-checking every system. There was no room for error here. A single miscalculation could mean disaster, leaving them stranded in the unforgiving depths of a planet they barely understood. Each member of the crew brought something unique to the mission. Dr. Elena Voss, the lead scientist, had spent years studying exoplanetary atmospheres and was determined to prove that life could exist in even the harshest conditions. Captain Marcus Hale, a seasoned astronaut with countless missions under his belt, provided steady leadership and unwavering resolve. Then there was Engineer Priyas Singh, whose expertise in maintaining the ship's delicate systems ensured their survival in the face of overwhelming odds. Together, they formed a team capable of tackling the unknown, but none of them truly knew what awaited them. As the ship approached the gas giant, the view outside the observation windows was nothing short of breathtaking. The planet loomed large, its surface a riot of colors: deep blues, fiery oranges, and shimmering purples swirled together in a chaotic dance. Lightning arced across the horizon, illuminating the turbulent atmosphere in flashes of brilliance. The sheer scale of the planet was humbling, a reminder of how small and fragile humanity was in the grand scheme of the cosmos. Yet despite its beauty, the gas giant was a dangerous place, filled with forces that could easily destroy them. Still, the crew pressed on, driven by the promise of discovery. The descent into the gas giant's atmosphere was nothing short of harrowing. Turbulent winds howled around the ship, threatening to tear it apart at every turn. Lightning crackled like veins of pure energy, illuminating the swirling clouds in bursts of blinding brilliance. The crew held their breath as instruments screamed warnings, but the hull held firm against the onslaught. Slowly, they descended deeper, passing through layers of ammonia ice and sulfuric haze until the turbulence began to subside. What awaited them below was both breathtaking and confounding, a region of relative calm, bathed in an ethereal glow emanating from unknown sources. Sensors picked up strange readings almost immediately. Pockets of warmth radiated from specific areas, defying the frigid temperatures expected at such depths. The air itself seemed alive, pulsating with faint electromagnetic waves. Most astonishing of all were the structures. Massive formations stretching across the horizon, shimmering with iridescent hues. They appeared organic yet geometric, as though grown rather than built. Could this be evidence of intelligent design? Or something entirely alien, born from processes humans couldn't yet comprehend? The crew exchanged glances, their faces masks of wonder and trepidation. They had found something extraordinary, but understanding it would require venturing further into the unknown. The deeper they went, the more surreal the environment became. Clouds of metallic particles floated lazily in the atmosphere, catching the dim light and scattering it in dazzling patterns. Some of these particles seemed to cluster around the glowing structures, forming intricate shapes that shifted and reformed as though alive. The crew speculated endlessly about their purpose. Were they remnants of some ancient civilization, or perhaps tools used by whatever beings inhabited this hidden realm? Every new piece of data only deepened the mystery. Dr. Voss was particularly fascinated by the bioelectric signals detected in the vicinity of the structures. They resembled neural activity, suggesting that the formations might possess some form of consciousness, or at least mimic the functions of living organisms. If true, this would challenge everything humanity thought it knew about intelligence and sentience. Could these structures be the result of evolution in an environment vastly different from Earth's? Or were they artifacts created by beings far beyond human comprehension? The possibilities were endless, and each one more thrilling than the last. Meanwhile, Captain Hale focused on ensuring the safety of the crew. Despite the wonders unfolding around them, he remained acutely aware of the dangers. The pressure was increasing exponentially, pushing the limits of the ship's structural integrity. Even with advanced shielding, there was no guarantee they could survive prolonged exposure to such extreme conditions. He ordered constant monitoring of the hull's status, ready to abort the mission at the first sign of critical failure. For now, though, the ship held steady, allowing the crew to continue their exploration. Engineer Singh worked tirelessly to maintain the ship's systems, her hands moving deftly over control panels as she adjusted power flows and rerouted energy reserves. Her work was crucial. Not only did she keep the ship operational, but she also devised innovative solutions to problems no one had anticipated. When one of the external sensors malfunctioned due to interference from the planet's magnetic field, she quickly modified its frequency settings, restoring functionality without missing a beat. Her calm efficiency inspired confidence among the crew, a reminder that even in the face of uncertainty, human ingenuity could prevail. As they ventured deeper, the crew deployed drones to gather additional data. Equipped with high-resolution cameras and sophisticated sampling tools, the drones provided close-up views of the glowing structures. What they revealed was astonishing. Complex lattices of crystalline material intertwined with fibrous strands that pulsed with rhythmic light. These patterns suggested a level of organization far beyond random chance, hinting at deliberate design. The drones also detected traces of organic compounds embedded within the structures, raising the tantalizing possibility of biological integration. Despite the excitement, tension simmered beneath the surface. The crew was acutely aware of the risks involved in their mission. One wrong move could doom them all, leaving their discoveries buried forever in the depths of the gas giant. Yet they pressed on, driven by a shared sense of purpose. Whatever secrets lay hidden here, they were determined to uncover them and share their findings with the rest of humanity. The discovery of these microscopic organisms was both exhilarating and unsettling. The crew realized that they were witnessing something unprecedented, an entire ecosystem thriving in conditions once thought impossible for life. These tiny beings, glowing faintly as though lit from within, exhibited behaviors unlike anything documented on Earth. Some clustered around the crystalline structures, forming intricate patterns that shifted and reformed with a fluidity that defied logic. Others drifted freely, their movements seemingly purposeful, as if guided by some unseen intelligence. Dr. Voss theorized that these organisms might play a crucial role in sustaining the larger structures. Perhaps they acted as intermediaries, converting raw materials from the atmosphere into energy that fueled the pulsing formations. Alternatively, they could be parasites, feeding off the structure's emissions while contributing nothing in return. Either way, their presence suggested a level of complexity that hinted at a delicate balance, something the crew was determined to understand before taking any further action. As the probes continued their descent, they revealed even more astonishing details. Beneath the glowing structures lay vast expanses of what appeared to be liquid surfaces, shimmering like molten metal under the dim light. Upon closer inspection, these lakes turned out to be composed of exotic compounds, their chemical makeup unlike anything found in terrestrial environments. Some areas bubbled gently, releasing plumes of iridescent vapor that rose and dispersed into the atmosphere. It was as though the planet itself was alive, breathing in its own strange rhythm. The crew couldn't help but marvel at the sheer alienness of it all. Every new observation forced them to rethink their assumptions about the universe. Life, it seemed, was far more adaptable than anyone had imagined. Yet this realization came with a sense of unease. If such ecosystems existed here, hidden beneath layers of gas and storms, how many other worlds might harbor similar secrets? And what did it mean for humanity's place in the cosmos? Captain Hale called for a brief pause in data collection, urging the team to regroup and assess their findings so far. The mission had already exceeded expectations, but they needed to ensure they weren't overlooking critical details. He reminded everyone of the importance of caution, not just for their safety, but for the preservation of whatever fragile equilibrium existed in this hidden realm. Any interference, no matter how well-intentioned, could have catastrophic consequences. Engineer Singh took advantage of the break to run diagnostics on the ship's systems. Though the Ethris was holding up remarkably well, she knew they were pushing its limits. The pressure outside was now several times greater than anything the vessel had been designed to withstand, and minor stress fractures were beginning to appear along the hull. She patched them as best she could, reinforcing weak points with nanomaterials that bonded instantly to the damaged areas. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. Meanwhile, Dr. Voss pored over the data collected by the probes, her mind racing with possibilities. She noticed patterns in the bioelectric signals emitted by the microscopic organisms, patterns that bore an uncanny resemblance to linguistic structures. Could these creatures be communicating? If so, what were they saying and to whom? The implications were staggering. Communication implied intelligence, and intelligence implied intent. Were they merely passive inhabitants of this world, or active participants in its functioning? The questions swirled endlessly, each one leading to yet another mystery. As the crew prepared to delve deeper, they encountered their first major obstacle, a sudden shift in atmospheric composition. Sensors detected a surge in volatile compounds, causing turbulence that threatened to destabilize the ship. Lightning crackled violently around them, illuminating the swirling clouds in flashes of blinding white and electric blue. For a moment, it seemed as though the planet itself was resisting their intrusion, lashing out with all the fury of a living entity. Captain Hale ordered immediate adjustments to the ship's trajectory, steering them away from the most turbulent regions. But the storm wasn't content to let them escape so easily. Waves of dense gas buffeted the Ethris dash, forcing the crew to fight for control. Engineer Singh worked feverishly to stabilize the propulsion systems, rerouting power to keep the engines running smoothly. Her hands flew across the console, sweat beading on her forehead as alarms blared in the background. Despite the chaos, Dr. Voss remained focused on the data streaming in from the probes. Even amidst the storm, the glowing structures below continued to pulse rhythmically, undisturbed by the violence above. It was as though they existed in a separate reality, untouched by the forces raging around them. This resilience only deepened the crew's fascination and their unease. What kind of technology or biology could withstand such extremes? Eventually, the storm subsided, leaving the crew shaken but intact. They emerged into a calmer region, where the atmosphere thinned slightly and visibility improved. Here, the glowing structures were even more pronounced, their luminous forms casting eerie shadows across the landscape. The crew decided to take advantage of the relative calm to deploy additional drones, hoping to gather more detailed information. The drones descended cautiously, their cameras capturing images of breathtaking clarity. What they revealed was astonishing. The structures were not static entities but dynamic, evolving forms. Some sections expanded and contracted like lungs, drawing in particles from the surrounding atmosphere and expelling streams of glowing energy. Others twisted and reshaped themselves, forming complex geometries that seemed almost deliberate. It was as though the structures were alive, responding to stimuli in ways that defied explanation. Dr. Voss hypothesized that these changes might represent some form of communication, a visual language encoded in movement and light. If true, it would mean that the structures were not merely passive features of the environment but active participants in the ecosystem. The idea sent shivers down her spine. Humanity had long dreamed of encountering intelligent extraterrestrial life, but never had they imagined it might take such an alien form. Yet alongside the excitement came a growing sense of responsibility. The crew realized they were treading on sacred ground, intruding upon a world whose mysteries had remained hidden for eons. Every action they took carried the potential to disrupt the delicate balance they had uncovered. Captain Hale reiterated the need for restraint, reminding the team that their primary goal was observation, not intervention. Still, the temptation to explore further, to uncover the truth behind these enigmatic structures, was almost overwhelming. With the storm behind them, the crew pressed onward, venturing deeper into the gas giant's atmosphere. The pressure continued to rise, testing the limits of the Ethris-reinforced hull. Despite the strain, the ship held firm, its advanced materials proving equal to the challenge. Inside, the crew worked tirelessly, analyzing data and making real-time adjustments to ensure their survival. Their efforts paid off when the drones discovered something truly extraordinary, a massive cavern-like formation nestled within the glowing structures. Its walls sparkled with crystalline deposits, refracting light into dazzling rainbows that danced across the interior. At its center stood a towering spire, its surface etched with intricate carvings that glowed faintly in the dim light. The sight was awe-inspiring, a testament to the ingenuity, or evolution, of whatever force had created it. Dr. Voss immediately recognized the significance of the find. The carvings appeared to follow a pattern, repeating motifs that suggested a symbolic language. Could this be evidence of an ancient civilization, one that had thrived in this hidden realm long before humanity ever gazed at the stars? Or was it something else entirely, perhaps a natural phenomenon masquerading as artifice? Either way, the implications were profound. The crew debated whether to send a manned expedition into the cavern. On one hand, the opportunity to study the spire up close was too valuable to pass up. On the other, the risks were immense. The cavern's location deep within the gas giant meant exposure to extreme pressures and unpredictable environmental conditions. A single mistake could seal their fate forever. Ultimately, curiosity won out. Captain Hale authorized a small team to enter the cavern using specially modified exosuits designed to withstand the harsh environment. As they prepared for the mission, tension filled the air. Each member of the team understood the gravity of what they were about to do. They were stepping into the unknown, with no guarantee of returning. The journey into the cavern was fraught with challenges. The exosuits, though advanced, struggled to maintain functionality in the oppressive atmosphere. Power reserves dwindled faster than expected, forcing the team to conserve energy wherever possible. Visibility was limited, with thick clouds of metallic particles obscuring their path. Yet despite these obstacles, they pressed on, driven by the promise of discovery. As they approached the spire, the carvings became clearer, revealing a level of detail that left the crew breathless. Each line, each curve, seemed deliberately crafted, forming a narrative that spanned millennia. Dr. Voss speculated that the symbols might depict the history of the beings who had created or inhabited this realm. Perhaps they told the story of how life had adapted to survive in such an inhospitable environment, or chronicled the rise and fall of a civilization lost to time. But the spire held more than just carvings. Embedded within its surface were fragments of what appeared to be technology, crystalline circuits and fiber optic strands woven seamlessly into the structure. These components pulsed faintly, emitting low-frequency vibrations that resonated through the cavern. It was as though the spire itself was alive, humming with latent energy. The team collected samples carefully, ensuring minimal disruption to the site. Every fragment, every particle, was meticulously cataloged and stored for analysis. Yet even as they worked, they couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The cavern's silence was oppressive, broken only by the faint hum of the spire and the occasional rustle of metallic clouds. It was as though the very air was alive, aware of their presence. As the team carefully documented the spire and its intricate carvings, they began to notice subtle changes in their surroundings. The faint hum of the cavern grew louder, resonating through their exosuits with an almost physical presence. It wasn't just sound, it was vibration, a rhythmic pulse that seemed to emanate from the very core of the spire. At first, it felt like a natural phenomenon, perhaps the result of shifting gases or pressure fluctuations deep within the gas giant. But as the vibrations intensified, the crew realized something far stranger was occurring. The crystalline circuits embedded in the spire began to glow more brightly, their light spreading outward in waves that illuminated the cavern. The metallic particles suspended in the air responded in kind, aligning themselves into patterns that shifted and reformed with mesmerizing fluidity. It was as though the entire cavern had come alive, responding to some unseen stimulus, or perhaps to the team's presence itself. Dr. Voss theorized that the spire might be some form of interface, designed to interact with those who approached it. If true, then their actions, intentional or not, could be triggering responses from whatever intelligence lay behind the structure. This realization filled her with both awe and trepidation. They were standing on the threshold of communication with an alien entity, one whose motives and capabilities were entirely unknown. Captain Hale, ever vigilant, reminded the team to proceed with caution. Whatever the spire was, it represented a power far beyond human understanding. Interfering with it could have unintended consequences, potentially endangering not only the crew but also the delicate ecosystem they had discovered. Yet even as he emphasized restraint, he couldn't deny the allure of the moment. Humanity had long dreamed of encountering extraterrestrial life, and now they stood face to face with the possibility. The team decided to test their hypothesis by attempting to replicate the vibrations using their own equipment. Engineer Singh modified one of the drones to emit low-frequency pulses similar to those detected from the spire. As the drone activated, the cavern reacted almost immediately. The glowing patterns intensified, and the metallic particles coalesced into shapes that resembled symbols eerily similar to those carved into the spire's surface. It was undeniable, the spire was responding. Whether it understood their intentions or simply registered their interference as a form of input remained unclear. But one thing was certain, they had established a connection, however tenuous, with this alien intelligence. The implications were staggering. For the first time in recorded history, humanity had made contact, not with another species, but with a consciousness that transcended conventional definitions of life. The discovery of the spire's responsiveness sent shockwaves through the crew. Each member grappled with the enormity of what they had uncovered, their minds racing with possibilities. Dr. Voss saw it as a breakthrough in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, while Captain Hale viewed it as a potential threat that required careful navigation. Engineer Singh, ever practical, focused on ensuring their equipment could withstand further interactions without compromising their safety. Their next step was to analyze the symbols projected by the metallic particles. These symbols appeared to follow a logical progression, suggesting a rudimentary form of language. Dr. Voss hypothesized that the spire might be attempting to convey information, perhaps offering insights into the nature of the hidden realm or its creators. She began cataloging the symbols, cross-referencing them with known linguistic patterns and mathematical constants. Meanwhile, the spire continued to react to their presence, its vibrations growing stronger and more complex. The crew noticed that certain actions elicited specific responses. For example, moving closer to the spire caused the symbols to shift into new configurations, while retreating prompted them to fade. It was as though the spire was learning, adapting to their behavior in real time. This dynamic interaction raised profound questions about the nature of intelligence. Was the spire truly sentient, or was it merely following pre-programmed instructions? Could it distinguish between intention and accident, or was it responding blindly to external stimuli? The answers eluded them, but the mere possibility of encountering a non-human intelligence was enough to inspire both wonder and fear. As hours passed, the crew became increasingly aware of the toll their expedition was taking on their resources. The exosuit's power reserves were dwindling rapidly, and the oppressive pressure of the gas giant's depths was beginning to strain even their advanced materials. Captain Hale insisted on setting a clear timeline for their departure. They had pushed their limits far enough, and staying any longer risked jeopardizing the entire mission. Despite his warnings, the crew couldn't resist the temptation to probe further. Engineer Singh devised a way to amplify the drone's signal, creating a more robust conversation with the spire. When they activated the enhanced frequency, the response was immediate and overwhelming. The cavern erupted in a symphony of light and sound, the metallic particles swirling into dazzling constellations that filled the space with an otherworldly glow. For a brief moment, the crew felt as though they were witnessing the birth of stars, the universe unfolding before their eyes. But then, abruptly, the display ceased. The spire fell silent, its glow dimming until it was nearly indistinguishable from the surrounding darkness. The metallic particles dispersed, vanishing into the haze. It was as if the spire had shut down, withdrawing into itself after reaching some unseen conclusion. The sudden cessation of activity left the crew disoriented and uneasy. Had they overstepped some boundary? Or had the spire simply completed its message, leaving them to decipher its meaning? Without clear answers, they began the painstaking process of gathering data for analysis back aboard the Etherius Dash. Every fragment of information, the symbols, the vibrations, the patterns, was meticulously recorded, though none of it made immediate sense. As they prepared to leave the cavern, Dr. Voss lingered near the spire, her gaze fixed on its now dormant surface. Something about it felt unfinished. She couldn't shake the feeling that the spire had been trying to communicate something vital, something urgent. Was it a warning? An invitation? A plea for help? The ambiguity gnawed at her, fueling a restless determination to uncover the truth. Back aboard the ship, the mood was subdued. The crew worked tirelessly to process the data, piecing together fragments of the puzzle. Dr. Voss and her team identified recurring motifs in the symbols, which seemed to correspond to concepts like unity, balance, and transformation. To her, these themes suggested a worldview profoundly different from humanity's, a perspective rooted in interconnectedness rather than individuality. Engineer Singh, meanwhile, focused on analyzing the energy signatures emitted by the spire. Her findings revealed traces of quantum entanglement, hinting at technologies or biological processes that operated on principles far beyond current human science. This discovery added another layer of complexity to their understanding of the spire, raising the possibility that it might serve as more than just a repository of knowledge. Perhaps it was a gateway, a bridge between dimensions or realities. Captain Hale, ever the pragmatist, reminded the team to temper their speculations with caution. While the discoveries were groundbreaking, they also carried significant risks. If the spire truly possessed advanced capabilities, misinterpreting its messages could have dire consequences. He urged everyone to focus on what they knew for certain. The spire existed, it responded to stimuli, and it held secrets that warranted further study, but not at the cost of their lives. With their initial exploration complete, the crew turned their attention to broader questions about the hidden realms within the gas giant. What role did the spire play in the larger ecosystem? Were there other structures like it scattered throughout the planet's depths? And most importantly, what did this discovery mean for humanity's understanding of life and intelligence? To answer these questions, they deployed additional probes equipped with upgraded sensors capable of detecting anomalies across wider areas. The results were astonishing. Data streams revealed clusters of similar structures buried deep within the gas giant's atmosphere, each radiating unique energy signatures. Some were smaller and less elaborate than the spire, while others appeared far more complex, their forms defying easy categorization. The crew speculated that these structures might represent stages of development, or perhaps remnants of a once great civilization. If so, then the spire they had encountered could be a relic of a bygone era, a testament to the ingenuity of beings who had mastered existence in such an extreme environment. Alternatively, it might still be active, serving as a node in a vast network connecting disparate regions of the gas giant. As they mapped the locations of these structures, the crew noticed a pattern. Many of them aligned along invisible pathways that crisscrossed the planet's interior. These pathways seemed to follow currents of energy, suggesting a deliberate design rather than random placement. Dr. Voss likened them to neural networks, with the structures functioning as nodes that transmitted information across vast distances. The implications were staggering. If the gas giant housed a planetary-scale intelligence, then humanity's encounter with the Spire was merely the tip of the iceberg. This realization sparked both excitement and unease among the crew. They had stumbled upon something far greater than they had anticipated, something that challenged the very foundations of their understanding of the cosmos. Determined to learn more, the crew embarked on a series of targeted dives, venturing deeper into the gas giant's atmosphere to investigate the newly discovered structures. Each descent brought fresh revelations, as well as escalating dangers. The pressure increased exponentially, straining the Immerse systems to their limits. Lightning storms raged around them, their fury unmatched by anything they had encountered before. Despite these challenges, the crew pressed on, driven by an insatiable curiosity. One particular structure stood out, a colossal formation that dwarfed even the Spire. Its surface shimmered with iridescent hues, reflecting the ambient light in ways that defied explanation. As they approached, the structure emitted a low-frequency hum that resonated through the ship, causing instruments to fluctuate erratically. Dr. Voss hypothesized that this structure might serve as a central hub, coordinating the activities of the smaller nodes. If true, then accessing it could provide unparalleled insights into the workings of the hidden realm. However, getting close enough to study it proved to be a formidable challenge. Turbulent winds buffeted the ship, forcing Captain Hale to execute a series of evasive maneuvers to avoid being torn apart. Eventually, they managed to stabilize their position long enough to deploy a probe. The device captured high-resolution images of the structure's surface, revealing intricate patterns that pulsed with rhythmic precision. Embedded within these patterns were symbols identical to those found on the Spire, reinforcing the idea of a unified system spanning the gas giant's depths. As the probe transmitted its findings, the crew detected an anomaly, a concentrated beam of energy emanating from the structure's core. It appeared to be directed outward, toward the surface of the gas giant. Could this beam be a form of communication, or perhaps a mechanism for interacting with the outside world? The possibilities were endless, each one more tantalizing than the last. The discovery of the energy beam reignited debates within the crew about the purpose of the structures. Some believed they were tools created by an ancient civilization, designed to manipulate the gas giant's environment for survival or resource extraction. Others argued that the structures were biological in nature, extensions of the planet's living ecosystem. Either way, their sophistication suggested a level of mastery over matter and energy that humanity had yet to achieve. Dr. Voss proposed a bold experiment, using the Immerse-own energy systems to mimic the beam's frequency and direction. If successful, they might establish a direct link with the structure, bypassing the need for intermediaries like the Spire. The idea was fraught with risk, but the potential rewards outweighed the dangers. After extensive preparation, the crew initiated the experiment. Power surged through the ship's emitters, creating a beam that mirrored the one detected earlier. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, the structure responded. Its surface lit up with a brilliant glow, and the surrounding atmosphere began to churn violently. Waves of energy rippled outward, distorting the fabric of space itself. Inside the Immerse, alarms blared as instruments struggled to make sense of the chaotic readings. The crew braced themselves, unsure whether they had triggered a catastrophic reaction or unlocked a new level of understanding. As the turbulence subsided, a holographic projection materialized in the ship's main chamber, a swirling mass of colors and shapes that resolved into a coherent image. What they saw defied description. It was neither a map nor a message, but something entirely alien, a representation of the gas giant's internal structure, rendered in 3 dimensions. Within this representation, countless nodes pulsed with light, connected by luminous threads that formed a web-like network. At the center of it all was the massive structure they had just encountered, radiating energy that flowed outward like blood through veins. The hologram confirmed what the crew had suspected. The gas giant was home to a vast, interconnected intelligence. Each node in the network contributed to the whole, forming a collective consciousness that spanned the planet's depths. This revelation forced them to reconsider everything they thought they knew about life and cognition. Intelligence, it seemed, was not confined to individual organisms but could emerge from ecosystems, networks, and even entire worlds. Dr. Voss marveled at the implications. If a gas giant could host such a phenomenon, then similar intelligences might exist elsewhere in the universe, perhaps even within seemingly barren environments like stars or black holes. The very notion expanded the boundaries of possibility, challenging humanity to broaden its definition of life. Yet alongside the excitement came a sobering realization. The scale of this intelligence dwarfed anything humans had ever encountered. Attempting to communicate with it directly would require humility and patience, qualities that were often lacking in humanity's approach to the unknown. Captain Hale emphasized the importance of proceeding with caution, reminding the crew that their actions could have far-reaching consequences. As they studied the hologram, the crew noticed subtle fluctuations in the network's activity. Certain nodes brightened and dimmed in sequence, suggesting ongoing processes or communications. Dr. Voss speculated that these fluctuations might encode information, much like the symbols on the spire. Deciphering them would take time, but the effort could yield invaluable insights into the workings of this alien mind. With their mission nearing its end, the crew faced a difficult decision. How much of what they had discovered should they share with the rest of humanity? The knowledge they had gained was transformative, but it also carried risks. Revealing the existence of a planetary-scale intelligence could inspire wonder and cooperation, or spark fear and exploitation. Captain Hale advocated for transparency, believing that humanity had a right to know about the wonders hidden within the cosmos. Dr. Voss agreed, but cautioned against rushing to conclusions. Much of what they had observed remained speculative, requiring further study before definitive claims could be made. Engineer Singh added a practical consideration. The technology needed to access the gas giant's hidden realms was still in its infancy, making widespread exploration impossible for the foreseeable future. Ultimately, they decided to document their findings thoroughly, presenting them as a starting point for future research rather than a final verdict. Their report would highlight the mysteries they had uncovered while acknowledging the gaps in their understanding. By framing their discoveries as invitations rather than answers, they hoped to inspire generations of explorers to continue probing the unknown. As they prepared to leave the gas giant behind, the crew took one last look at the swirling clouds below. Though they had only scratched the surface of its secrets, they knew they had changed forever. The universe was far stranger and far more wondrous than they had ever imagined. The journey back to Earth was marked by reflection and anticipation. Each member of the crew processed the experience in their own way, grappling with the weight of what they had witnessed. For Dr. Voss, it reinforced her belief in the boundless potential of the cosmos. For Captain Hale, it underscored the importance of responsible exploration. For Engineer Singh, it highlighted the resilience of human ingenuity in the face of adversity. Upon their return, the crew presented their findings to the scientific community, sparking debates and discussions that reverberated across disciplines. The discovery of the hidden realms within the gas giant challenged existing paradigms, prompting researchers to rethink everything from astrobiology to artificial intelligence. It also inspired a new wave of missions aimed at exploring similar environments throughout the galaxy. Though the crew of the Immerse had returned home, their journey was far from over. The questions they had raised would linger for decades, driving humanity to reach further and dig deeper in its quest for understanding. And somewhere, deep within the gas giant, the spire waited, silent, patient, and enigmatic, as if knowing that its story was just beginning. If you've enjoyed this tale of cosmic exploration and discovery, don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling adventures across the stars. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey, and until next time, keep looking up.